It's time once again for the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860. I'm Barry Reisman, inviting you to stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement and everything inside and everything outside. Featuring professional home inspector Jack Milne, who tells us that every house has a story, and he knows, I guess, about 25,000 stories at this point. How you doing this morning, Jack?
I'm great, Barry. I'm still recovering from Thanksgiving.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But, like I said on last week's show, got to celebrate a birthday yesterday. I'm much closer to 60 than I am to 50 at this point. I mean, really close. I think I have another good year in front of me.
A lot of good years in front of you.
So, but anyway, today's topic is furniture placement and how to make it work. And, when I come up with ideas for these shows, I think I live them. And right before Thanksgiving, I was able to get my family room renovation done. And one of the things that we spent considerable amount of time was furniture. And one of the things we did is we took a wall out that increased the size of our room by about 7 feet. So, the old family room used to be like 18 by 22. Now it's 25 by 22. And, when the room is empty, folks, you got this broad expanse, and now you got to figure out how to fill it, but not crowd it. So I figured I'm going to share some of my personal experiences with you today as to how to make it work without getting divorced. So before we
you should be a part home inspector and part marriage counselor.
Oh, Barry, I do it all.
Yeah.
I do it all. Bucksmont Inspections, Rob Bowie, again out of Sellersville, Pennsylvania. Folks, if you have an on-site sewage system, and here's a great example. You live in the country, and we had a really light snow. If you begin to realize that over your septic field, the snow is melting quicker than in other areas, you might have an issue that requires some further evaluation. Now, granted, we've been blessed so far with not a whole lot of heavy snow, but keep an eye on that. And you can reach out to them at 215-669-4213. Borough Exterminating out of Glenolden, Pennsylvania. Again, termite as well as radon testing. They're actually a third-generation company, excellent in the field, and provide excellent service. 610-586-5640. Pest Blaster out of Hamilton, New Jersey. They do New Jersey, and they do a lot of work for us here in Pennsylvania regarding radon testing, mold testing, wood-destroying insect treatments and evaluations, as well as pest removal. So as it's getting colder, folks, if you have a mouse situation, and let's start at as small as that, to as large as raccoons or skunks, groundhogs, any critters or wildlife, give Pest Blaster a buzz at 215-295-5555. BrainFleshGear.com. I've been hearing from Kevin Zollner. He does beautiful work. And just go to BrainFleshGear.com. You can see some of the things that he's created, and he's willing to help you out. If you want an email, they're at contact@BrainFleshGear.com. And, of course, Tri-County Inspection Company. We've conducted about 73,000 property evaluations. Like Barry said, I've got about 25,000 stories, and yes, I do. And everyone's a new one. So reach out to us via our website at tcinspect.com. But we are in 15 counties surrounding Philadelphia, all the way up to the Lehigh Valley, into Mercer and Hunterdon counties, all the way down to Salem County. So we are out there, and I have an excellent staff, both of inspectors and secretaries and typists, to make your buying process or selling process just a little bit easier. So real quick visit to the email box, and then we're going to kick right in. Tony. Now, let me clarify, a female, okay, T-O-N-I, from Haverford, had a comment about the in-quote garage, a man's favorite place and a woman's place to put stuff. And her little letter said, Jack, with reference to your show, in my house, it's my husband who puts stuff in the garage. Well, I've been on him to clean out the garage. We were in the car the other day listening to your show, and when we got home, we promised to each other that we would both open the door and remove the clutter and the old stuff and start fresh. So thanks for the inspiration. I'm getting goosebumps, Barry. So, Tony, thanks for the vote of confidence. You know, miracles start with little steps, and progress is good. So, honestly, I wish them both the best. So, folks, any emails, please send them to thehousewhispershow@gmail.com. Any previous shows, you can always visit thehousewhispershow.com, and podcasts are all day, every day. For the current week at www.dbam.com. So, today's show, furniture placement and how to make it work. So, at some point, as you live in your home, you take a look into the main living spaces, what I like to call the family room, living room, and dining room. And it's time to realize that you have to update it. And if you're young and you moved into your first home, you know, the apartment furniture has to go. If you've been in the home for 10 years, well, maybe that first set of real furniture that look good but may not be holding up due to real-life conditions is ready for the curb. So how do you plan this out? Well, let me help. What I want you to do is first, even without the furniture being taken out, take the length and the width of the space that you want to improve. Imagine it without any furniture, and this is what I call the palette. So what you want to do is paint the room if it needs it, and it may. Sometimes some of the rooms that we don't use for a while, the dining room, say, or the living room, because we live in the kitchen and our family rooms, over the years, folks, the paint still tends to dull out. You may have experienced a couple of new settlement cracks, or due to normal expansion and contraction of the home, or maybe some nail pots from the kids, you know, jumping above you as they fall off the bed. So, you know, it's time to clean it up a little bit. So color choices today are absolutely more dynamic than ever. And, you know, I'm seeing houses today with maybe one tone or two tones. An accent wall is all in vogue these days, and with a combination of light and dark tones. And they can be used in the same room. So what I consider an accent wall, let's say you do three walls in one color, but the focus wall, maybe where the TV is or the fireplace is, where you want people to turn their gaze, is considered the accent wall. Now, for family rooms in the old days, the fireplace was the focal point, but I think today it's the TV. So, by the way, folks, don't put the TV over any fireplace, as today's LEDs are not designed to take a large amount of heat. I get that question thrown at me a lot. And to get to all the wiring, you're going to have to take the wall apart. Because you've got the cable lines, you've got your monster cables, you have to power these things, and not only to the TV, but also to the DVR, or any other way that today that you get your TV actually on the screen. And then today, again, we're getting more and more involved with speakers and more complex issues. So if you have a fireplace, forget it, because you're going to have to take the fireplace down to get these things done. So what I'm starting to see now more and more in our homes are TV tables. The one thing I found during my search is that there's not many in our furniture stores. So you might have to go ahead and visit the internet, and that's how we picked out ours. But the other thing, too, is you need more plugs. So instead of a standard duplex receptacle, which is 2 plugs, you're going to need 4 plugs. So, and going back to the TV stand, personally, my wife and I went back on that quite a few times. I actually won this little battle. But the reason I prefer the stand is that the TV can be relocated. It can be shifted. It can be moved without removing the wall again, which can be a second disaster. And wall mounts are pretty limiting with movement. So it's kind of like real estate. With that TV, it's all about location, location, location. And honestly, folks, you don't want to do this again. So, Barry, before I start with the trip to the furniture store, can we take a quick commercial break?
We sure can. We'll take a little break and go to the furniture store. Go shopping. You're listening to the House Whisperer Show with Jack Milne at WWDB.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show.
As the weather gets cooler and the temperatures drop, the bugs might slow down, but the rodents don't stop. Mice and rats begin to invade homes during the fall and winter months, looking for food, warmth, and a comfortable place to nest. Don't wait for pesky rodents to invade your home. Fight back. Have your home baited and ready for their attack with Pest Blaster. Whether preventative or a full-blown infestation, give Pest Blaster a call at 215-295-5555 and they can discuss the solution to your problem. They also offer humane animal removal services for a wide variety of wild animals, damage repairs, and cleanups. Call them today at 215-295-5555 or check them out at pestblaster.com, servicing both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Pest Blaster, 215-295-5555 or pestblaster.com for all your pest control needs.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
And we're back with Jack Milne, the House Whisperer. talking about a great topic today, as always. And Jack, let's pick it up where we left off.
Well, thank you, folks. Today we're talking about furniture placement and how to make it work. So hopefully by this time the furniture is now out of the space that you were working on. You've already have selected your paint colors and your floor finish. Now it's time to take some pictures on that smartphone, which Barry, I still don't own, but my wife does, and take the pictures as well as your measurements to the furniture store. Now, along with your measurements, you have to bring some patience, your willpower, and your wallet. And before I diverse into that, hopefully with your furniture folks, you can give it, to your neighbors, your kids, friends if need be. But if you have to, unless it's extremely shoddy that you need to put it on the curb, donate it. I can't emphasize that enough. Give it to people who may be less fortunate than us and can have a way to assemble their own homes. So the last time I was at the furniture store, which was probably several weeks ago at this point, what I found very consistently is that the women were leading the way. The guys followed close behind, and we all had that overglazed look in our eyes, almost kind of like the look of defeat. As we all know, as men, we don't have any real choice as to furniture. But I think we have reasonable arguments, and I don't want to use the word arguments, but we have reasonable discussions. See, I've been through the furniture store, Barry.
Yeah, me too.
If we want leather over fabric, we want the recliner over there, but you don't really care for the one that's over here. So as I can only suggest is try to stick to your grounds, as you may have to sacrifice the sofa. But if you have to set anchor in your new recliner, the world is a better place. Now, today's sofas, as I found out, include a multitude of options, and they include recliners, what they call chaises. That's a new word for me. Armless and armchairs. And the reason, I'm doing this show for you today is I went through this 2-week experience with my wife for a sofa for our family room. And she brought home the initial measurements of the sofa. And the dimensions were offered, and we did our best with a tape measure to try to lay out the sectional so that it would properly fit in the space. And it's amazing what may seem somewhat small in the furniture store because it's full of furniture. And, the one store we went to was 75,000 square feet. It was huge. So they had these excellent displays, but until you can actually take the measurement of these sofas and chairs, and if you're thinking coffee tables or ottomans, whatever, and you take them home and you measure them out, all of a sudden your room's overcrowded. So the one sofa that you thought was going to be too small actually turned out to be too big. And one thing we did, which made our lives a lot easier, is we used the blue paint tape. Okay? Don't use packing tape. Don't use masking tape. Don't use Scotch tape. Don't use this green funky stuff my wife found that I couldn't get off our hardwood floor. So the best thing to use is the blue paint tape. And buy a roll, folks. It's like $5. And then this way, if you have to change the measurement or the location in the room, you just pull up the tape and you lay it back down over here. And it gives you a great visual. And I can tell you from the way that the original measurement came home and to what we actually ordered was different. And my wife wanted a chaise, and I don't know why. It's a woman's thing. But the way that the chaise fit into the room, you had to walk around it to try to sit down. And then those people who were sitting behind the chaise was going to be sitting behind my wife. So that didn't work. We tried to do one of these combinations with the armchairs and the armless chairs and the love seats and love seats, let me explain, are 2 seats while a sofa is 3. So by the time that we finally got this combination together, and hang with me, we had a love seat next to an armless, to a square corner in lieu of a rounded corner, to another love seat, and I think that's it. And we stopped in there on a Sunday. We told them exactly what we wanted. Folks, they had it delivered in 3 days. And today's sectionals aren't like the old sectionals. I mean, these things are kind of pegged together, so they're not designed to come apart. And to put this combination together, I was just flabbergasted that we had it in 3 days. Now, the downside is Lori didn't get her chaise. So what we did, and the sofa we had delivered is like a chocolate brown. We actually came up with a different color, almost cream ottoman. And the reason that we went different is that we had different colors in our floor. So you don't always have to go brown on brown or white on white. Sometimes offering this contrast really brightens up the room. And then what I liked about having the ottomans, if you wanted them, they're there. If you didn't want them, they're not there. So what's next after the furniture placement is the carpet. And most people today are using area rugs. And please don't make the mistake of buying the carpet before you buy the furniture. Because at the end of the day, even when the furniture is delivered, you may be moving it around a bit until you finally find the happy space. Now, once you found the happy space, now you get your tape measure out again, and now you're going to measure for your area rugs. Now, area rugs can be from, just focusing down and under the sofa to the coffee table or your ottomans, whatever you choose, and it's smaller in size. 7 by 10s, 11 by 13s. Some people only went about a foot from the outside wall and then offer a larger carpet. And one thing about carpets, again, men, you won't have much choice, but women tend to have a better choice in color and texture, and how to bring out the colors of the room. And again, the colors are not only going to be the walls, but it's going to be the floor, and now it's the furniture. So I always say never, ever buy the carpet first. The carpet needs to be the final piece that goes over your floor if you're going to maintain hardwood. Now, if you're going to do wall-to-wall carpeting, then the sequence will absolutely change, because what you want to do is paint your walls first. Okay, let the painters use that old carpet as a drop cloth. That way they don't have to be as careful if they get some spillage or drops. Nothing worse than having a new hardwood floor, a new carpet laid, and then you see the drips from the painters, even though they put their tarps down and they did their best to protect it. But at the end of the day, even after that new carpet is laid or that hardwood floor is laid, anticipate some touch-ups to the paint. And paint selections will vary too. Most painters like to use a flat paint because if you have to make touch-ups, you don't see anything. We used an eggshell when we repainted. But one thing we had to do is we had to put primer back over the paint before we added our roller to the wall surface again. Otherwise, there's this term called flashing. And flashing looks like you just touched it up and it never goes away. So almost like any other space in your home, it takes careful planning. Try not to be in a rush. Construction and destruction, as we talked about several weeks ago, you do need the patience of Job. But as I've always said, I try to make the decision once because you have to live with your choice. And when it comes to the placement of furniture, it's not very easy to get it in, and it's not easy to take back. And especially if you're doing a custom order like we did with our sofa. We had to do our due diligence. We got to a point where we walked back into the furniture store. They all knew us by name. They even knew my father-in-law. But it had to be the appropriate decision because you're spending good money for good furniture, and you can't be wrong because you can't. No one can afford it. So My final comment is with trim. Some people stain, some people paint. The trim should be done after the walls are painted. If you're going to do new doors, between openings, I would suggest that you get pre-hung doors. Pre-hung doors come with the jambs, so that you can choose to stain or paint. And I think I don't want to call it an older home, but in any situation where you want to swap out doors and you buy what's called a blank, then it's up to the carpenter to actually take off the hinges, take the measurements, route out the hinges, replace the hinges, and pray that the door closes. And just like any other accent, you don't have to go with a solid door. You can go with a glass door. You can go to a pocket door. But pocket doors are pretty cool because they disappear behind the wall. But you can't put a pocket door in later. That's got to be a part of the original construction/deconstruction of the room to make the pocket door work. And even when I see them, when I'm doing a home inspection, I always tell the ladies, and guys, don't nail a big nail into this wall because you're going to hit your door. And if you hit your door, you're not going to be able to open it very easily. And when you do get that door open, you're going to have a small hole in it or a puncture. If you have a glass door, you have to be extremely careful because just that puncture might be enough to break the glass. And once a pocket door is set, it is kind of difficult to get it back out. But we did an accent door between the family room and the laundry room. We actually took the drywall out above the door, and we put in a transom window with Baroque glass. It's all pieces of the puzzle, folks. It just takes careful planning, and I can't emphasize that enough. As it is Sunday, please spend time with friends and family, and we'll see you next week on the House Whisperer Show.
All right, and that's the man talking about everything about a house, and today, the furniture in the house. And tune in again next week for another edition of the House Whisperer Show with professional home inspector Jack Milne. And you can listen to previous programs, or if you have any questions, visit thehousewhisperershow.com. I'm Barry Reisman, and thank you for listening to the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860.
Now everything is easy 'cause of you.